Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur trying to get over that hump. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to go forward and accomplish that dream. George Pullman was an extremely rich and wealthy industrialist here in Chicago, Illinois in the 1800s, and he's buried at Graceland Cemetery that's on the north side of the city. When he died, they dug up a huge hole at his family plot and they put him in a mahogany coffin that was lined with lead. Now, at the base of this hole was 18 inches of reinforced concrete as well as the walls. They lowered the coffin into this hole. Then they poured more concrete on top along with asphalt. Then they put steel barriers on top of that, and then they put more concrete on top of that. Why does it take all of that to bury one man? Why does it take all that to bury one person? Well, the reality is, it was a strong suspicion and fear that a lot of George Pullman's former employees would dig up his body, desecrate it, and put it on display as a trophy. Pretty barbaric. But why would people do that? Why are people afraid that someone is going to dig up this man's body and do all of these horrible and barbaric and crazy things to his corpse? Well, to answer that question, you got to know who George Pullman is. I said George Pullman was an industrialist. I said he was extremely rich, extremely wealthy. But George Pullman was not a good man. You see, George Pullman invented the Pullman traveling car that was very famous for trains back in that day. Understand, this is the 1800s. Trains was the primary means of transportation across the country. He made a killing. He made a lot of money inventing this sleeping car. You know, we see him on Amtrak these days, nowadays. But George Pullman invented that. George Pullman created his own company town on the south side of Chicago, which is named after him. It's called Pullman. It's on the south side. It's a very beautiful neighborhood. They have beautiful row houses. They have the beautiful Pullman National Monument, which is now a tourist attraction. It's a museum now. But at the time, it was the administration building. It's very beautiful. I was hired by a light company to take photos at this location last year, and it's very beautiful. But George Pullman created this town so his workers could live there. And George Pullman charged them extremely high rent prices, and he paid them extremely low wages. This frustrated a lot of his company workers, so much so that they went on multiple strikes, and one of these strikes got very violent. George Pullman hired former enslaved Africans, former enslaved Black Americans. They were known as the Pullman Porters, and the only compensation they had was tips. This is where tips was originated, ladies and gentlemen, with the Pullman Porters, Black men that worked these Pullman sleeping cars around the country for the Pullman Company. George Pullman was racist. George Pullman was a capitalist. George Pullman was greedy. George Pullman was not a good man. So that's why they had to bury him in the manner they buried him, because they had feared that all his former employees, there were some of his former employees, they had feared that labor activists would dig up his body and desecrate it and put it on display as a trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, the reality is, myself, you, your loved ones, all of us on this earth will die. I'm not trying to be crass, I'm not trying to be grave, no pun intended, but the reality is all of us will die. And when you die, how people treat you in death is going to be a reflection of how you treated them in life. See, when you die, that doesn't mean that all of the things you did magically go away. No, you just go from the earthly realm to the heavenly or the hell realm. But at the end of the day, it does not erase how you treated people on this earth. As an entrepreneur, you have to treat people well. You have to pay people well. You have to always do everything you can to be a great person and a great businesswoman and a businessman. Regardless of what it is that you're doing, regardless of what your dreams are, treat people the way you want to be treated. I know we always say this like the golden rule. You know, it's a cliche term, but it's the truth. And it's not just indicative to, or it's not just exclusive to business. It's not just exclusive to entrepreneurship. It's not just exclusive to your goals. This is how you need to be in all facets of your life. You see, none of us are perfect. We are all going to fall short. We're all going to make silly mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes again and again and do destructive things that's going to hurt us and hurt those around us. I'm not exempt from that, ladies and gentlemen. I have done things in my life that I'm not proud of. I didn't have integrity at certain points in my life. I've been unfaithful at certain points in my life, in relationships and in my relationship with God. I've done things that I'm not proud of. But the reality is, and the beauty of it all is, I'm aware of that and I can fix those mistakes. I can't fix the past, but I can fix the future. I have to do everything I can so that that dash between those two dates, 1988 and whatever date it is when I pass away from this earth, I have to do everything I can so that dash in between those two dates is memorable, is great, is beautiful, and people will remember me as a good person. People will remember me as a great entrepreneur, and that's how it is. That's how it needs to be for you and in your life and with your goals, ladies and gentlemen. So when you have a business, treat your team members well. When you have a business, treat your customers and your clients well. When you have a business, do everything you can to treat yourself well. When you have a business, treat everybody with respect. Do everything that you can to go above and beyond, even when you don't feel like it, because people will remember how you treat them. People will remember how you treat them in your daily life. When you are in a relationship, when you have friends, when you have family, give people compassion, give people grace, give people mercy. As much as you might not want to do that, give people mercy. Everything we do in this life will be remembered. You see, we make obituaries sound very great, don't we? You know, she lived a great life. You know, they were baptized at this church and they found God and they was a good person. We make obituaries sound very good. And I'm sure George Pullman's obituary sounded very great. He was very creative. He invented the Pullman sleeping car. He revolutionized the train industry. He made lots of money. He provided housing for his employees. We make obituaries sound great, but obituaries do not tell the whole story. Obituaries are a snapshot. Obituaries are doctored up. Obituaries are the icing on the cake, but we don't know that that cake might be stale. We don't know that that cake might be foul. We don't know what's under that icing. It could be sludge. It could be mud. Treat people with grace. Treat people with respect. Treat people nicely. Be a great person. We are not perfect and we will make mistakes. I just said that I was unfaithful in my life. I just said that I didn't have integrity in my life. I just said that I made lots of mistakes in my life. We are all a villain in somebody's story. We are all a villain in some chapter in somebody's story. That's a fact. But at the end of the day, if you are aware of that, if you have a righteous heart, if you continue to strive and to do right, if you continue to try to correct yourself, if you continue to repent, if you continue to forgive yourself, if you continue to wake up every single day and say, you know what, I'm going to do my best to be better than I was yesterday. That is the good thing, and that's the good news, and that's what we need to strive to be. You were born on a day, your birthday. We don't know the day that we gonna die. It could be today, it could be tomorrow. That's the scary thing. But don't let it scare you, because while you are still here, while you still have breath in your body, be a good person. Decide to be a good person. Decide to change someone's life. Decide to be a great person. Decide to bless somebody while you still are here on this earth. That dash between your birthday and the day you go into paradise is what people will remember you by. That dash is how people will treat you after you are gone. Because if you need to be buried in concrete, on top of concrete with steel and mahogany and lead, you wasn't a good person. You didn't do great things for people. They're going to remember you more for the bad things than they did for the few good things. Allow the good things to outweigh the bad. Let that scale tip in favor of the good, ladies and gentlemen. You have control of that. You don't have control of the past, but you have control of the future in your business, on your entrepreneurial journey, on your dream chasing journey, and just to be a great human being. So that's my message this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to imagine reality. When your obituary is written, how do you want to be remembered? When you leave this earth, how do you want people to treat your legacy? How do you want people to remember you? What will be your legacy? What will be the memories that you implant in your team members' minds, in your clients' minds, your customers' minds, your loved ones' minds, your friends' minds? What will be those memories that are buried in their spirits? Will they be good ones or will they be nightmares? We have the control of that. We have the power to make that a reality for somebody else. Don't be the villain anymore. Be the hero. Be the blessing. Be the good news. If this podcast has blessed you in any way, shape, or form, ask for two things as always. Number one, leave a 5-star review. And number two, pass it on to a friend who may benefit from it as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll talk to you next week.